The Devolver Digital Publisher sale started last Thursday, causing Steam to remind me of a game that had been languishing on my wishlist for so long, I completely forgot about it. It was so cheap, I bought it on impulse, and it actually turned out to be better than I expected, so in this video I wanna talk about Carrion. Carrion is an indie reverse horror game, in the sense that you are the monsters aping containment and killing everyone. It mixes slow and careful stealth with fast-paced, deadly combat, a tight progression loop that sees your amorphous, swarmy mess gradually grow into an unstoppable killing machine, and just enough puzzles to keep things interesting. It is very short though. Took me slightly under 6 hours to beat the main story, DLC and demo level, but that just means the game didn't waste my time on pointless padding. It's a fun, focused experience from a development team who really knew what kind of game they wanted to make, and I fully recommend it. Now, before getting into the gameplay, some quick technical information. First, a pleasant surprise. Carrion has native Ultrawide support and Steam Workshop integration that includes full support for custom levels if you feel like stretching out your playtime a little more. It doesn't have much in terms of settings, but you can at least rebind all your controls on both keyboard and controllers. Just as a warning, my experience trying to play on a controller was absolutely dreadful. I don't know if it's just me, but trying to swing people around with the right thumbstick simply didn't work properly. Mouse and keyboard work perfectly though, so just keep that in mind in case you feel like playing Carrion on a TV. So, the way the game works is very simple. You are this lovely little tentacle abomination, and your objective is to leave the secret lab where you've been kept for who knows how long. For that, you start with the ability to nimbly slither around the walls and floors of the facility and use your various appendages to grab, pull, and rip apart anything within reach, including people. Eating humans increases your biomass, which acts as both health and a way to transform into bigger, stronger forms, and each form has its own special abilities that you unlock through the story, which are useful both in puzzles and combat. But even though you are a weak, deadly predator that can rip people apart like toilet paper, they have all sorts of weapons and devices to fight back, meaning you end up dead just as easily, and that's where the stealth element comes in. The levels are all full of tight passageways and small corners to hide in as you attempt to catch people unaware, and a lot of physics-based object interactions that make each combat encounter both chaotic and fun. For example, you can rip out the floor rates under people's feet to cause them to fall or throw objects at them from a distance. Enemy AI is reasonably deep. Civilians try to run away even to other screens, while guards try to track you down and over each other. Better equipped guards carry heavier weapons like assault rifles and flamethrowers, and electric shields that damage you on contact and prevent you from grabbing them. Outsmarting them or simply charging in like a massive furious meatball to take them down before they can react both feel incredibly satisfying, especially due to how much attention the developers paid to the environmental details. Seriously, the credits list 16 voice actors and I didn't hear a single spoken word in the entire game, but the screaming, oh yeah, there's a lot of screaming, whimpering and crying, and I fully realize this makes me sound like a psychopath, but it really helps set the mood, sell the idea that you are this terror from the deep, ripping and tearing anything that stands on your way out of that containment facility. The sound effects are also great. There's this constant whipping of tentacles as you move around the level, some very crunchy sounds whenever you hit someone, along with some general rolling and snarling. Guns are loud as hell, as they should be, and the game even models the asins bouncing around on the ground. Your character moves by grabbing onto the environment and pulling itself by its tentacles, and every area is full of interactable objects that break apart and fly all over the place if you move across them quickly, lending a visceral feeling to the simple act of moving around, as if these objects just cannot support the raw mass of this massive tentacled mass slingshotting all over the place. As I neared the end, I did start feeling as if the enemies were beginning to become a little stale. I mean, there's really not a lot of variety there, but the level design helped to stretch that out quite a bit by putting those enemies into all sorts of different combat situations and punctuating the action with the occasional puzzle. None of the puzzles felt particularly challenging. They seemed to serve mostly as a way of forcing players to learn how to use all their powers, but together with the combat encounters, they establish a nice, comfortable up and down rhythm to the gameplay. Carrion is divided into 9 levels connected by a hub area, and each requires you to infect a number of hives, which act as both healing and save points before you are able to break through the exit. Each exit is located near the next level's entrance, and the abilities you earn in the previous level are necessary to advance through the next, forming a very clear, linear path to follow. As you gather new powers though, you'll find there's a light metroidvania layer to the level design, as each area offers a second, optional upgrade for players to find that often requires them to have access to abilities they have yet to learn, meaning you have to make a mental note to get back to them when you do. Which brings us to the greatest criticism I've seen other people make regarding this game, the lack of a map feature. You are expected to navigate entirely by memory, and making your way back to a previous level, or figuring out which rooms you haven't checked out yet, can sometimes be frustrating. Honestly, I like the fact that there is no map, since that would imply Mr. Unknowable Alien Entity over here actually knows how to read, but I do think the game would benefit from finding a more consistent way of making traveling around areas you've already cleared a little more convenient, like using the hives as fast travel points for example. With that said, the levels themselves are very easy to navigate around since enemies do not respawn, and the developers included a bunch of in-universe ways of guiding players forward, including putting a bunch of ring exit signs everywhere or closing off unnecessary paths. It's really only the hub area that can get a bit confusing. Now, you might have noticed I haven't really talked about the game's story yet, because there kind of isn't one. Similar to many old school games, the story is largely dependent on your imagination projecting your own interpretation to what's happening on the screen, and though I usually gravitate towards deep, intricately written stories with highly detailed world building, the fact that this game doesn't have one actually fits the setting much better. You do get to play through a few flashback sequences that show a little bit of how the worm was found by the humans who captured it, but the game doesn't try to spin it into an overarching narrative. You are a monster, and monsters have no onset of history. They have neither the means nor motive to try communicating. They exist in a violent flurry of instinct and emotion, fighting or flying with no greater goal other than just surviving, and in that way, I feel like the developers made the right call. So, to sum it all up, Carrion is a somewhat short but very fun power fantasy where you play the part of an unknowable tentacled mess trying to escape confinement from a secret lab and killing everyone in your way. It feels great to play, very snappy, responsive, reasonably challenging, and at the current sale price of $2, it's a no-brainer. At the standard price of $20 though, your mileage may vary. I would still recommend it, but that's mostly because I have this massive backlog I'm trying to clear, and it's good to play those short, intense action experiences as a way to rest in between bigger games. Still, the Devolver Digital sale lasts until the 25th of June, and then there's the summer sale starting literally the day after, plus all the other regular sales, so you can easily get it at a discount if the full price sounds too steep. Anyway, that's enough from me for today. This was a video review for Carrion, available pretty much everywhere to be honest. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and of course, appreciate any feedback you may have. Bye bye!